All right, here we go. Books 41 through 43. It's over. Beowulf died fighting the dragon just like he knew that he was going to. And he gave the kingship to this young man, Welof, son of Weohstan, the only one of his warriors who was brave enough and loyal enough to rush in to fight the dragon with him. The other 11 have been kicked out of the kingdom now by Welof. And now they're making ready for Beowulf's burial. Book 41 starts on page 58. This tells a little bit of the story of um, how Helac was as king and what happened to Helac's enemies. Basically, Helac was pretty brutal against those who were his enemies, and when Beowulf died, now they're really afraid that all these people, all these ancient enemies of the Geats, are going to come attack them. So they're preparing for war at the same time that they're getting ready to mourn their king. So page 59, Beowulf, or sorry, Welof says that the earls who have the ability to do so, they need to gather wood and they need to get people to gather wood and build a pyre for Beowulf so we can burn his body. So the Thanes who had heard about Beowulf's death come to see his body, and then um, they and then Welof says, "Come on, let's go take a look at this treasure that that Beowulf gave his life for." So they see the dragon laying there dead, and then how big he was. And on page 60, they go down into the caves and they see all of this gold, all this treasure, old swords rusted out. And that's book 41, book 42. And then it kind of recants the story of the dragon a little bit. And says that and Welof says we can't take this gold. Page 61. The mighty prince who placed the treasure there so laid it under a deep curse till doomsday, that the man who should spoil that place should be guilty of sin, prisoned in evil places, made fast in hell bonds, and punished with plagues. The hero was not eager for treasure, rather he had first looked for the grace of the owner of all. And Welof says, "Oft must many earls through the act of one man suffer evil, even as hath happened to us. We might not make our dear lord shepherd of his people accept aught of good counsel, not to meet with the warden of the gold, but to let him lie where he had long been, and abide in his dwelling place till the world's end. He held to his high destiny. The hoard is ours to see, come to us in woeful wise. Too hard was the fate that drew this king thither." So Welof says, "Here's the last orders of Beowulf. Here's what we need to do for him." Um, and we need to make his barrow ready. So he says, "Go gather wood for the pyre, make the flame big, and then he and Beowulf's 7 best thanes go back underneath, and they decide that this treasure then should be buried with Beowulf. It's not going to belong to the people. It's going to go from one barrow to another." and that's book 42. Book 43, they make a pile as he had prayed for them, firmly based on the earth and hung with helmets and shields and bright burnies. And they light the pyre, and they see the fire roaring and burning hot, and they let the fire burn until it burns Beowulf's body away. And they collect the ashes. And his wife, we find out here that Beowulf was actually married. He didn't have any children, but he was married. She foresaw with grievous dread days of evil for herself, many a deathfall, terror of battle, shame and captivity. Last footnote, 42. This translation is based on a reconstruction of an illegible passage. So that might be part of the original text. We don't know. It's the best guess of the people who translated the book. So they burn Beowulf's body. Heaven swallows up the smoke. They let the earth keep the treasures of earls and gold lie in the ground where still now abideth, as useless to men as it was aforetime. So all that gold that Beowulf sacrificed his life for ended up buried with his ashes because it was useless to people. And then Aethelings, brave in battle, 12 in all, minded to speak their sorrow, lament their king, frame sorrow in words, and tell of the hero. They praised his earlship and did honor to his prowess as best they knew. People tell good stories of Beowulf and the things that he did for his people. And then they say goodbye, that last paragraph. So the Geat folk, his hearth comrades, grieved for their lord, said that he was a king like to none other in the world, of men the mildest and most gracious to men, the most friendly to his people, and the most eager to win praise. This book is a prime example of how people lived in this time period. This has been a picture into the lives of the heroic ideals of the Old English people, of how they felt you needed to live your life with honesty, with bravery, with honor, giving praise and gifts when they were due, and giving punishment when it was due. You don't shy away from battle. You don't shy away from the work that needs to be done. Because every good and proper hero does what needs to be done when it needs to be done. We still see this in society today. The idea that we have to have a good work ethic, that we do the work that needs to be done when it needs to be done, is a reflection of some of this old English heroic ideal. That's it for the summary of Beowulf, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Look for another video from me soon.